So consider a scheme where farmers put their income together. This is, here's the first slightly tricky thing that we have to deal with. So what do we mean by when they put their incomes together? Clearly this part of it doesn't matter, this affects everybody. This doesn't matter because it affects everybody. So these are just additive shocks that everybody gets. So you put them together or not, it's a constant for everybody. There's no household subscripts in it, so it doesn't matter. This is what's tricky, because in principle we could have taken two different rules. One, we could say we're going to subtract this off from here and then put it together. Meaning, I'll take your income, I'll take the part of it that you are guaranteed to have higher income than somebody else. We're going to subtract it off. Why? Because there's no risk there. That's not, insurance is about removing risk, not about removing permanent differences. Now, why do I say there's something tricky there? So isn't that the obvious thing to do? Well, it depends on when you started talking. So a permanent difference might have happened at some point. So at some point maybe the two households were the same, and then one of them got lucky, and a child in the household went to university and got a good job. So depending on when we think the insurance started, that child's income is either something that could have happened to either of the households, so they should insure against it, or not. This is always it's a subtle point, but it's one that's worth appreciating. So when we talk about we're going to insure each other for in the future, how long in the future? So today, I am already, maybe we have, there's going to be there's no systematic difference between us, but which we each anticipate that, well, we're going to have a child, and one of our children is going to be more successful than the other. When that happens, do we rewrite the contract? Because then that's a fixed difference between the households? Or is that something that's covered by the insurance? So in other words, this household difference, maybe in some primeval state, we were all equal. In the Bible, they talk about the Jubilee. After 51 years, all debts are cancelled, and all wealth is equalized again. The idea of, there is this idea that somehow permanent differences are not socially acceptable, and that in the end those differences need to be removed. Just to keep in mind the framework within which we say there are permanent differences and therefore those should be subtracted from income is taking a view on what people think of as the time when they started insuring each other. So when I tell my neighbor that no, this part of my income is mine and therefore that's not for you to share, I'm really saying something about what my view of the social contract is. I'm saying this is mine, we just share what is idiosyncratic, but what is not idiosyncratic might have been idiosyncratic once upon a time. Once upon a time we may have been the same, and then one of us got lucky, and then we stayed lucky, but is that covered or not? So that's just, this is nothing, there's no right answer to this question. It's just to keep in mind that when I say there are permanent differences happened at some point, and when that happened, was that luck? Was that something that's, and therefore we should insure against, not luck, and therefore we should treat as fixed? That's all. These are all judgments we in a sense make. So now from now on, just to so we don't deal with this issue, let's think of that alpha h as not being there. Set alpha h equal to 0. So that we don't have to worry about that issue. In that case, consumption is going to be just the average of income. So the expectation of this expression. And depending on how many people there are, this will vary more or less. Everything else is common. This is 0, I just made the argument for why we may want to ignore this. This is introduce a complication that's difficult, so let's ignore this. This is fixed. This doesn't vary within the village. This doesn't vary within the village. This is the only thing that varies. So perfect insurance is the best insurance you can get in the village is just taking the average of that shock. So we just take the shock, that average of the epsilons across people, and we redistribute it.